All right, so we are going to take a second look at a sector today in our new episode of Stock Talks. We are going to be looking at the marijuana sector one more time. I almost said pot stocks when I said stock talks, so that was a little hesitation there. So, last time I did this video, it was actually a week ago. I made this on the 30th. So, last time when I made this video, there were a couple over-the-counter tickers, and that kind of bothered me. So this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm going to actually change about half the stocks that we review. So we're going to review 4 that we did from last week, and then I'm going to add another 3. All of them are on the major markets. So last time I did this, there were a couple Canadian tickers. I have to look at the over-the-counter or the pink slip stocks, and it's just the volume counts are different, and it doesn't trade as cleanly as a major market. So a few of them will have lines pre-established, basically like we see here on TLRY. So we'll get started here, really, like we always do. We'll start with the big boy. So this is TLRY on the daily, and then we'll lower our 2 moving averages together, our lower indicators to get to this. So look, again, we made this video this day right here. It was on the 30th. Yeah, so that was Saturday last week. It was before the next trading day. And look, you can kind of see our lines really did help, right? So we clearly failed that next day, but we were pretty close to this line. Obviously, it was well below, and I'm by no means going to pretend that, I definitely would have sold once we lost the 20. I probably would have for sure sold once we lost the 8, I would have sold. Once we lost the 20, for sure, I would have sold. So, don't get me wrong, I would have been out. Nonetheless, there was just a monster surge that went from 1 to literally almost to the penny of the third line up here, right? So, again, sometimes that happens, right? Like, you get this wild fail and then just boom, right? I hate stocks that do that. I'm not going to pretend that I don't, right? But nonetheless, this just hopefully kind of helped give you the path, right? From there, literally, again, this line was a bit of an issue. There was a bit of a break, but we kind of fell here. Nonetheless, a number of things, right? We're over the 20, we're over the 8, we're over the 50. It looks like we're now playing in this channel, right? So I don't think I need to make any more line. I guess I'll make one more line just up here, just in case. I think I'm going to take this one, not that one. So this, again, is a pretty still good step up, step down from this, right? Let's see what the lower indicators look like. Okay, hey, so we actually crossed the 0 line. It's a bit of a curve down. I really wish it was going more steep upward, right? So let's see what this looks like. Okay, interesting. RSI is not that high, but it's obviously not that bullish, right? It looks like it actually wants to go under the red. I obviously want it to start taking off, right? Let me just see what the weekly looks like just to see it. I mean, really, the weekly doesn't look too bad. It almost wants to basically fill this gap, right? So weekly looks good. Obviously, that RSI looks better on the weekly. MACD also looks better on the weekly. So, hey, if you've got a little patience, this might be a better stock to hold, longer term than on daily flips. And then let's just look at the monthly real quick. Monthly doesn't look good, but again, there's just so much red that there could be nice gap fills. But look at these indicators, right? They're not that bullish. This is actually still in the negative. This one obviously isn't that as good as the weekly. So I would say seemingly we might close around this 417 by Friday, but given the daily, I don't know if it'll maybe come down, right? Because again, I've said this on a couple of videos. When you break a moving average, generally you break it, you come down, and then you bounce off again, right? So here we break the 50. I can see us coming down, hopefully not that low. Hopefully we don't lose 360, right? 369. But maybe we come back and then bounce up again, right? So daily doesn't look great. Weekly looked okay. So you can kind of use that to how you want to play it. Next one we'll look at is ACB, so Aurora. Actually, Aurora looks like it's kind of trying to take off, right? So really looks like the lines that we made from the last video are still holding. It failed this 150 line, but if you look, every single day has been over this 50. That's pretty interesting, right? I would love to see a nice bounce up on the 50. I do think tomorrow we'll see what'll happen. It'll either, fail this 50 or, like I said, maybe try to break 152 and work its way up, though. But look, you can kind of see here, it almost happened right here and it failed it, right? It was 3 days above and it came down on the sharp drop and it failed. There's clearly a sharp drop coming down. It's been 3 days. I don't know. I do try to guess, from past, right? Even right here on the hard drop of the 8, there was a fall, right? So I don't know. I obviously don't know. I will say, I'm going to zoom in down here a little bit. That RSI is definitely red over green. Let's actually look at the numbers. So if you look over, you'll see that the RSI is 53 and change, and then the red line is 55. So it is actually, it is not looking good here. So again, I could see we'll see do not play this if it, the 149 number, right? If it loses 149, this thing's going to drop, right? Hopefully it opens up. It'd be great if it opened above 152 even and worked its way up. So what does the weekly look like? Okay. So the weekly is trying to do some good things, actually. That closed over the 8, and then last week was some confirmation of that as well. So this 152 line is really going to be a pretty important line. If we can close over that by Friday at least, that would be pretty bullish. So, and then let's just see monthly just to look at it. Again, monthly's not looking too great, right? We're well below the 8 on the monthly. So long term, ACB's not looking great. On the weekly, hey, it might actually have another week up if it could hold, right? Just, I wish the RSI was a little bit nicer, but on the daily, it's not looking as interesting. And again, I like to look at a few different time frames so that you can play it, a couple different ways, right? But short term, stay over that 50. If it opens under the 50, I'm out. If it opens over or even close to or over this 152, hopefully we'll ride that to that 165, and that's definitely about a 10%, a little bit more than a 10% gain right there if that channel rides. So ACB, between the first two, neither are wildly bullish. I will say that. So this next one's an ETF. Again, this is also one that we looked at. And hey, this actually was a pretty good use of the lines, right? So again, we made this video. This was the last trading day, the 29th that we saw, right? From there, look, we were pretty much sitting on this line. It failed the line and actually failed the 20. And again, from there, just kind of did this dance with the 20. It actually came as low as our lowest line, actually a little bit lower. You can see that on the wick, but we're still sitting on this 1168 line that we drew about a week ago, right? So I really don't need to draw any new lines, right? We're either going to open above this 20, right? Let me click in here and get the exact numbers. Just look how tight that is, right? The 8 is at 1166. The 20 is at 1171. Again, it's hard to break one line, let alone two lines, let alone a third horizontal that I actually drew manually, and it's not even, calculated with these computer numbers, right? So MSOS, which is the ETF of a number of different multi-state operators, it's sitting at a pretty tight window. And again, I'd play it with the 20. I think the 20 was the highest number. Yeah. If it opens above 1171, I would try to ride that to either the 50 or this, 1220 number there, right? If it doesn't open over, what is that, 1166, so that's actually the 8, a little 1 cent lower than my line, I'm out, right? I'm not going to touch this thing because I presume we're going to go down to this 11.2. I'll draw another line. I'm going to do this guy right here. And then I'll do I think that guy right there. So I'll just draw a couple more down here because honestly, right now it seems it might go down. Because honestly, we're also looking at these lower indicators at the same time, right? So none of them are looking wildly bullish, right? What does bullish mean? The red line's going down, the green line's going up, right? Red line down, green line up. And then look, 50 is a good number. So that's a good number to look at. But again, the lines aren't where I want them to be. So the last one that we're going to look at, that we looked at last week, is HEXO. And then I have 3 new ones after this. But this is HEXO. Again, we have lines. And look, did I have any lines lower than that? I didn't. Okay, so again, this was the last trading day when we made this. So the thought was, and it clearly did it right, it was going to break 1, 2, 3. It actually got a little higher than the third line that I made, right? But what actually did happen, right? We broke the 8, we broke the 20. We did this a little calm down where it comes down, and look, hopefully we bounce back up, right? I mentioned that a little bit earlier on this video. So that's a pretty common pattern I see. And I'll tell you, a lot of people end up losing too early on that pull up before the bounce, right? So just keep that in your back pocket if you see it, right? But at this point, what am I looking for? Look, I'd want to play, and it's really tight, right? Because this is 0.21. This line is probably at 0.22, right? Yeah, a 50 average, 0.22. My next line is at 0.23. Honestly, I don't think I would really touch this. If I was to touch it, look, I would want to play the break of the 50 to the 100. Because from there, you've got about 10 cents, which is 50% on a 20-cent stock, right? So I would probably be hunting for the break of 23 and riding that as much as I can, right? So let me make a couple lines. Oh, I'm going to use that one, actually. And I'm going to use, do I use this or that one? See, again, I don't know if, yeah, actually, it might even be the same number. What's that number? 32 and 33, whatever. I'm going to use that one. And that'll take us basically to there. So I personally would let go of the 21 to 23, and I would play this 23 to 28. There's just a little bit more change, and then obviously there's a little bit more room to this 33 from thereafter, right? So just my thinking, obviously everyone has different strategies, right? If you've got a lot of money, trust me, 2 cents on a lot of money would make the needle move, right? Overall, what am I looking at? Look, MACD doesn't look too bad, actually. We're coming up on the 0 line. And then again, we at least have the green over the red on the RSI. We're sitting at a decent mid-50s. I just wish there was a little bit more green going up, red going down, right? Or at least green going up, red staying flat, right? So just a little too tight for my, like this. This is what I want to see right here, right? So, but again, I kind of mentioned how I would play this. And look, we're still even below the 21, right? So, you know, play this how you will. So these next 3 are new. They're big players in the industry, and they're on, you know, you see the NASDAQ for this one, right? So this is Canopy Growth. So what are we looking at? RSI doesn't actually look good. I'm going to just start here because we just finished talking about it, right? We're actually seeing the opposite of what I want to see, right? Green is working its way down, and red is kind of staying flat, right? There's a bit of a curve on the MACD, and it's still in the negative. But from there, let's just draw a couple horizontal lines to see how to play this guy, right? So let me back up. Man, there's a nice gap fill here, right? And it looked like it wanted to fill the gap. How high did it get? Oh, pretty close, actually. Pretty close. And then failed, right? So this gap right here is a nice little fill. But let's make some lines. We'll start down here, just, again, because you never know how this bad boy is going to go. I'll use this guy right there. Oh, and it hit that. Perfect. I love that. Let's use this guy right there. And that's actually where we're sitting at right now. Interesting. Cool. Okay. We will use that. And we'll use... bam. Okay. Cool. That's a little closer, but look, that's literally at the 50 anyway, right? So Okay, that's a pretty good step up and step down for Canopy. Immediately, what do I see? Look, we're literally on the line, right? And look, it's not exact. You can see a little gap there and a little gap there, literally reaffirming that we're on that line right now. And again, little gap right there. You can see a little black peeking through, right? So I'm not going to move it down 1 cent. This isn't about perfection here, right? What would I want to do if it breaks 271 in the morning at 272? I'm trying to ride that to maybe 288, if not 288, 306, right? And that's a decent jump right there. That's at least 10%. It looks like at least 30 cents right there that I see. So there is a decent 10% play on Canopy if it opens well. But remember how we started. That's not a great RSI to look at, right? So this wall might be too much, and I can actually see us potentially coming down to, what's the 20? Look over there, 258. So if not 258, maybe 263. But I don't like what that RSI looks like. If we break it, I'm sure that'll help make it go the other way. But I think these are some good lines for Canopy here. Cool. Honestly, I'm enjoying kind of looking at it at the same time. I hope you people are as well. Gives me a different view. So I got two more. This one actually falls into the meme stock world, is Sandal, SNDL. So, you know, I'm just going to zoom out. I'm going to do a monthly view on this guy real quick just to emphasize it. Look, this thing did hard crash, went from, what was the low to the high? From $1.40 to a high of 860 within 1 month, right? I mean, that's literally a 7x jump right there, right? So that's meme stock power right there. Clearly, I mean, look, I can talk about the monthly right here, right? I'll go into the daily. But look, we've been under the 20 the entire time, and more so, obviously, under the 8, because that's generally what we talk about, right? So, but you can see how it's like literally riding the 20 almost to the dot as it's going well below the 20 every time, right? And look, how do we play this? If you want to play this long term, let's say you bought down here, right? Let's say you even bought it here, whatever. Once we got to this month, what month was this? June 30th. Once we failed the next month, this was July 30th, we're done. And you shouldn't have to ride this for the next few months, right? So you can play my game long term as well, I promise you. Let's take a look at where we're at. Actually, Sandal's at a really interesting spot. There are some gap fills immediately coming, right? This right here from basically that to shit, almost that, right? So let me make some lines and then we'll talk about this. That one's there. That's just a little too close. I don't need to put that one there, right? That's a good one there. And then let's use that guy. No, I don't like the... I use a top one. So I go between tops and bottoms occasionally. I'm sure you've noticed that. You know, again, I think it's just a little bit of a feel. I don't really know if I have much of a rhyme or a reason to tell you when I go, when I use the tops or when I use the bottoms of candles. But nonetheless, I think those are some decent lines. And look, it's a little bit hard to make our lines here unless I really zoom out, right? But right now we're obviously sitting here, and that's the top of that one. I mean, yeah, I would actually feel more comfortable zooming out. Let me just see if I can do a dirty line somewhere back here. Okay, so look, it seems like there was a gap that happens right there. That's still too low. It seems like there was a gap that happened somewhere right there. That's actually still a little too low. That's pretty much where we're at. And then it looks like there's like a little nasty little doji thing right there. Oh, that one. So I'm just going to zoom in for the sake of it, because let's just make sure I made these well. Actually, nice. I hit that on the dot. Looks like I hit that on the dot. And that on the... All right, I'm good with those. Okay, we have some good lines, people. Cool. I've gotten pretty good at those dirty lines, I'm not going to lie. So, again, though, you'll see... excuse me. There's a gap right here of more than 10%, right? That'll take us to 75, and that thing's at 81, right? So Interesting, and really immediately it's at 74. So how would I play this? Look, if Sandal opens really anything positive, I would be real interested. I would, especially at 255. 255 is probably the safest number, just because again that would actually clear everything that we've seen to date. And hey, hopefully you ride that to 281, maybe the 20 moving average. If not, this 294. So Sandal actually looks like a pretty interesting day play. I wish the lines were a little better down here, but this support line with this gap right here, that could be good. And again, we're 3 days over the green, right? We're 3 days over the 8 moving average. So, yeah, I'll say this. I've always said that like 80% of the info is here, 20 is down here, you know? So, last one on the list is CRON. Damn, we're at 20 minutes. Shit. Okay, I went a little too long. Ooh, CRON had some nice breaks going. CRON's had a nice uptrend going. And the last of the moving averages is right there. So CRON actually, look, this is the first time we're over this 100 moving average in a really long time. So a lot of positivity actually coming on CRON. I would pretty much play this to the moving average, right? But let's just see where we're at. That's definitely a line. That's definitely a line. Make that one a line. That's just a little too tight though, even. I can almost delete that one. I'll take you to that one. And I am going to delete that one, because that's the one that we did off that one. I think these are pretty good 1, 2, 3s right here. You know, I would even actually use the middle of this guy. You've heard me say this maybe once or twice in a couple videos, but 50% candle is pretty important. And that's a pretty big candle, so I'll chop that guy in half right there. So really look at where we're sitting. Is this pretty much where we're sitting? Yeah, look, that's actually exactly where we're sitting. That's just a little closer than I want to make a line. But if we open positive, if we can open at 345, I would try to ride that to the 354. And then again, hopefully either to this 369 or whatever that 200 moving average is. So what is the 200 moving average? Just so that we see it, 273. So yeah, but CRON clearly had a good break right here when it broke the 8 and really rode the 8 pretty well. Obviously, it was a little tighter than ideal. There were a lot of ups and downs that might have stomped some people out. But at this point right here was the main bounce off this 50 and worked its way up. And again, I love the fact that this is the first like consecutive days over the 100 in a long time. That's definitely something to note. So cool. All right, I went a little longer than I wanted, but this is the pot stocks. This is the weed sector. I hope you're having a good one. This is obviously not financial advice, education only. Have a good one.